Merry Christmas and welcome back to Subversive Preacher. My name's Cameron Miller. And what may seem like a mean thing to do to Christmas, I want to hold in contrast the information age in which we seem to find ourselves and Luke's sweet baby Jesus story. Now, the age of information, which I guess replaced the industrial age and in which no one can agree on whether or not it's now been replaced itself, has actually reduced our field of vision so that our gaze has become stuck in a crevice of death and evil. Now, I don't want to be accused of being a Pollyanna that denies the presence of human evil in our world or the dark side of the human mind. But the information age and its technology has captured our vision and focused it like a laser on the horrific, the pornographic, the darkness and murderous hearts and demonic minds. Genocide and violent crime, chaos, hatred and bigotry, economic cannibalism, the environmental disaster, destruction and woe in all of its forms, in every direction, and with us having what seems to be utter impotence to alter them. That's the dominant field of vision of the age of information. Why? Because this is the information that's most lucrative. This is the crack in which we are herded like cows, and this is the lens for which we have been fitted. The information age provides a lens through which the world is seen and understood. But this information is not the world itself. It's only a lens. We forget that sometimes, and after a while, when we have been looking through it for so long, we forget that we have the age of information lens on. But increasingly, our field of vision has narrowed and our depth of field has become more shallow. When the primary lens through which we view and interpret the world has as its focus darkness and death, impotence, grief, and loss, then the veil between God and creation thickens rather than thins. None of this is to deny the reality of human evil, nor doubt the actuality of the horrifically awful things that we see and we hear as a result of our information technology. But a lens that filters all we see through a darkened tent is a lens that reduces our vision of the other things that are always quietly floating in the field of vision around us all the time. So I'm taking this moment to divert our gaze to focus instead on a midwinter story surrounded by a festival of light and infused with a passion for gift giving. This story that we look at tonight is an alternative lens to the one we normally wear. That story, the one we only pick up every year or so, is an interpretive lens itself through which the world can be known and through which our lives can be lived in considerable contrast to the age of information lens. We forget that we get to choose which lens we wear, or at least which lens will be our dominant one. The information age lens is slick, and with AI it's getting slicker all the time. It's lucrative too, commercialized and commoditized, so that we see what those with financial interests in our behavior want us to see. The information age lens is powerful, all-pervasive, and funneled through compelling channels of cynicism and darkness. The information age lens is easy because it's so accessible, and it's not only accessible, but everybody else is looking through it too. Why be an oddball? Life's hard enough. But should we care to take a peek, this little old Christmas story lens is humble to a fault. It's tinted by the suggestion that God is born into a human life through an oppressed and marginalized family who are just trying to get by. The Christmas lens sees all that the information lens sees, but here's the difference. Its field of vision is wider, and its depth of field so much deeper. The Christmas story lens does not have a profit motive, but rather is filtered with prophetic imagination. The Christmas story lens sees all there is to see and then reminds us that neither terrorism, nor empire, nor crime, nor abuse of power are prohibitive of God. The Christmas story lens reminds us that neither cancer nor cynicism, nor grief or hatred limit the actual presence of God in our midst. It's interesting to think about, isn't it? This idea that the lens through which we choose to view and also to interpret the world will also determine what we see and what we don't see, and what we understand and what we assume. It is especially true about the sacred and whether or not we see it or hold ourselves open to its presence. It's a quirky idea, too, the acknowledgement that, conscious of it or not, we do in fact have a primary lens, and we can choose which lens we want to have be dominant. Our little Christmas story is quite small, and yet it is a powerful lens. At this time of life and in this season of the year, when the veil between God and creation is thinning, it's the Christmas story that gives us vision with which to witness and to see God's presence among us. This lens, this Christmas story one, is made of a precious element called incarnation. Incarnation allows us to see the sacred and the holy infused in the body of a most unlikely human, an infant in fact, an infant in a nameless family that has no inheritance and no stature, nothing really, a family with nothing. But that was only the beginning. The incarnation lens allows us to see God in the body, which is what incarnation literally means. God in the body, in the body. God in the body of outsiders, poor, nationless immigrants who fled to Egypt to become asylum seekers. But it doesn't stop there. Incarnation allows us to see God in the body of people that we love, whose body is racked with disease or even slipping away from us. We get to see God in there, in their bodies. We get to see God, if we wear the incarnation lens, in the bodies of people we fear, in the bodies of people we discount, in the bodies of people we ignore. We get to see God, if we wear the incarnation lens, in the body of the planet, in the places of immense natural beauty, but also where we have stripped the health away down to the bedrock. You see, when we're wearing the incarnation lens as our primary lens, we still see all the death and destruction and chaos and disorder that the age of information lens sees. But we're also able to see God in all of it, and through the thin veil that stands between us and God. Our funny little story is quite powerful, rivaling even the information age in its wisdom and surpassing it really in its power to heal. I wish you a very Merry Christmas, and that you be surrounded by peace. Thank you.